to post-traumatic bliss. Today we have a serious topic. This topic is the sun setting on the American empire? And are you worried? If you're living here in the US, let us know. Oh, okay, let us know. Hi, welcome. Welcome. Where you from? Hi, Frank. Hi, morning. How are you? So today I chose a topic, and I wanted to ask you because I was watching YouTube, and I was watching this guy. Their economic channel is free investing, and so they're economists, and they've been analyzing economies around the world: China, the U.S., Russia, and their conclusion is, oh, you're in the Inland Empire. I'm here in OC. So their conclusion is that, okay, the American empire could be on the decline because the empire, like this economy, is worth like, let's say, $23 trillion, but it's growing at a 2.7% every year. And then we have like the Chinese, they are worth like 17 trillion, 17.5 trillion, and they are growing at, let's say, 5 to 6% per year. So we are not growing as much. Chinese economy is growing, right? And so he was talking about how we, as an empire, we could be on the decline. And the whole politics right now is if Trump is going to be able to get us out of the decline. What do you think? Are you worried? Are you concerned? I mean, the empire doesn't just collapse. It's still a very strong economy. America economy is still the one of the strongest. And yes, China is on the rise. Doesn't mean that we can decline like immediately. Frank says, no, I defy. We are not on the decline. Okay, that's a good. Why do you think we are not on the decline? Like, what are the signs that you have? Are we just changing business? But do you think this is a reaction to the fact that, okay, China is on the rise for sure because it's expanding, but that does not probably mean necessarily that we are on a decline. Oh, that's true. That's very true. Yes, China is what part of the reason. Like, I think the US is one of their biggest traders. The US imports probably 60% of its goods from China. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, but I think China is also the world's biggest exporter, and it's exporting all over the world. And then he was talking about the the southern blocks, the BRICS, how the BRICS combined, he was talking about how when you combine the population of all the BRICS, that is 60% of the world's population. You're talking about China, Brazil, Indonesia, India, and South Africa, right? They kind of have like 60%. We are here in the US, we are 4%. And if they form a trading bloc, a serious trading bloc, you know, that could be a huge thing. And I think that's why this talk of the US annexing Canada, I don't know how, you know, how serious Trump is about, you know, annexing Canada and also getting Greenland, and how that would help, you know. They're sending 10,000 troops. Where? To the US? What would 10,000 troops do to the US? So it's going to be a lot, like the next coming months. Well, if any country can raise its tariffs if they wanted to, because they control their own economy. But when you raise tariff, you will affect another economy, that's for sure. But you can do that. So when you raise tariff, you make it expensive for people to buy your to buy to get your products into your economy. So for example, he was talking about how um, the Chinese have an electric car, right? Um, they have electric cars and they're selling them all over the world, apart from the US, because the tariff on the electric cars from China is 100%. So that means here in the US, you can't you can't get a Chinese electric car. The only car that you get is the Tesla, because it's created here in the US. You know, so the only electric car that, you know, most Americans will have, it's either, if it's created by Tesla or by Ford or by General GM, it will have to be made here in America. Hi Booger. Yeah, we can still create gas cars, all that. So tariffs are like walls, right? You can They are like walls. The higher the wall, the harder for goods to come into your market. But also when it's harder for goods to come into your market, it means if you don't have a strong manufacturing base, the prices will skyrocket, creating an inflation. And that is, you can have both. You can have tariffs without inflation. Uh, I don't know. Americans, like, the biggest thing, they didn't want higher prices. I don't want higher prices. I just don't want, like, the avocado oil right now that I buy went from $7 to $18, and it's going to go higher. You know, this is because we get like avocados from Mexico. See, not everybody can afford lettuce for $50. Like, you don't care. You don't care if lettuce cost us $50 or $100. Well, if you think about food, especially food, when you're in California, you don't think about like countries like other states inland. So I went to visit one of my friends. She's in North Carolina, and when I went there, their produce was not as fresh as we get it here in California. So we get fresh produce because it's coming right here from Mexico. So by the time it comes here in California, it's still relatively fresh. But by the time it gets to those countries in the mountain region, the like those areas inland, it is withered. It is not even nutritious anymore. And I was there and I was like, oh my god, they're paying so much for the same fruit that I pay here in California, but what they are getting, it was like this withered because of the transit. This, it has to pass through so many places. Well, it's true. Like, if you look at California, California used to be a farm town, right? um, but Orange County used to be a place where people grow oranges, but right now what happened to it? All those farmlands were cleared so that they can have malls, housing development, so that people can build, more malls and shopping centers. you know, uh, yeah. And I think now, like, look, like everybody, like, it's tarmac everywhere. Here in California, like, it's tarmac. You can barely see anywhere that there's no tarmac where you can plant, like, even a tree. um, Most Californians are not allowed to plant, like, planting trees is like, no, no. Yeah. So in the short run, I hope, like, I hope that this hi Venom. And yeah, I hope, because right now, I think right now prices are skyrocket high. I don't think, I really don't think the average American can afford high prices right now. Like, that is worrying me. Like, you can afford, but not so many people can afford it, you know. In the least, like, people need to eat, you know. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, it's all gone. It's rolling now. Like, there's no holding it back. It's collecting moss. It's rolling. Hi, yes, Buga. You may ask a question. What's going on? What is going on? Yeah, today we are asking, you can answer us here. If you think that the American economy is on the decline. Frank says, I don't care other people's situation, just my own. I care of the number one, or you step in number two. You gotta care for the economy. If the ship sinks and you're in that ship, you sink with it. You better care for the whole ship, you know, because our economy is like the ship we are in. I don't want it sinking because I'm a sink with it, you know. And also, it's good to know what's going to happen just so that we can prepare. But in the short term, for sure, in the short term, the prices are going to go up. So it's kind of like really right now, the best thing you can tell people is brace yourself. Like just brace yourself right now with the prices. They're going to go up because I was watching Fox News and they were showing us the list of things that will go up. And yeah, everybody is in agreement. The prices are going up. Yeah, like yeah, like I don't think most people. So okay, so I was watching this, and he's an economist, so he kind of analyzes all the economies of the world, and he was saying, you know, when a country has bad policies, they are bad policies, and he was saying, let's say we have like 10 million immigrants, right? And America has a population of its own citizens, let's say 350 million. He was saying for the economy to collapse, that could not be the only reason. Like even if you are thinking it was collapsing because of immigrants, and let's say they had a chance that they were dragging the economy, it's still not the only reason. It still has a lot to do with bad economic policies, you know, that will eventually sink the ship. And yes, you may say, yes, you know, the rats might know the sinking shipping and they might be the ones the fast collapse to get off the ship, but that will not stop the ship from sinking. So I mean, we have to think about where the economy is all headed, you know, and I think he was saying that we can't deny, like he was talking about, let us not deny about like China rising and there being an economic slowdown. And he was like, let's not play blaming games. Let's work together to help this economy, you know, stabilize and start expanding. Yeah, but I don't know. We will see. I am just worried. I am worried for Americans and especially the average working class. Yeah, I'm just worried, you know, like they work so hard. And this lady was saying that she and her, okay, first here in California, I don't think, so she has 4 kids and her household is 80,000. And she was like, I never imagined like making 80,000 wasn't enough for my household. And I'm like, I am sorry, but I don't think 80,000 will be ever enough to cater for a household of 4. And so she was like, oh, I'll be working like 60 hours a week. Obviously, as a mental health advocate, I say working 60 hours for any woman a week is a lot, for any mother especially. Well, if you have money and you think that's not going to be a problem for you, but the money that you have, you will have to use more money to pay for higher prices. You know, unless like you're somebody like, obviously you probably are a millionaire, or you know, only people like millionaires and like wouldn't be hurt by the prices. Like if you're not a millionaire in this economy, you will get hurt by the prices, and that is like 80% of the people. So yeah, so my job is to just let you know, like as an influencer, like tighten your belt right now, because try. It's true, Frank. You know the gig. You know prices are going to probably triple at this point. You know, and that's what's going to happen. You know, um, that's the reality that we are in right now. Yeah. Hi, Halimato. Yeah. Yeah. For me, right now, is to just tell people on my channel the truth. Right now, the prices are probably going to triple. You know, tighten your belts. Yeah. Frank doesn't care. Frank is like, right now they are going to be the haves and the haves nots, and that's it. And he don't care. You know, those are people in your country, and those are the people that you claim to love. You know, there will be the haves. There's already that. I mean, that has not been having the haves and the haves not. I think that's expected in a capitalist economy. Hi, Musa. I'm not ignoring you, love. I'm not like like that's the product of a capitalist economy. You know, having people who have and people who don't have. So, you know, that's not new. You know, that's not new. Even if you go into the Bible, there was always people who have and people who didn't have, and that is why Jesus talked about feeding the poor and the hungry, and giving to the poor and the hungry. His whole ministry was about feeding the poor and the hungry. He was healing the sick, um, you know, helping the blind to see. That was his whole ministry. That was the whole ministry of Christ. That's why we spread the gospel across the whole planet. Um, the whole ministry of the gospel is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So I'm never confused about the gospel when it comes to those principles that Christ commanded. His greatest commandment is always love your neighbor as you love yourself, and God, love the Lord your God. You know, so yeah, so imagine, Frank, if Jesus talked about his own sacrifices and he said, what about my sacrifice? What about my body? What about my dying? What about me, right? What if Christ was like that? You know, what if Christ was the one complaining and saying, what about me? What about me, right? What about my life? Why should I care about other people's lives? What if Christ was like that? In the end, you know, the way that he taught us was that the way that we show that we are leaders is not like being like me, you know. It's about your neighbor. He talked about your neighbor being in the picture. If he was about me, we would never even have this conversation. Well, we have to bring Christ into this because, this country was founded on those foundations. You know, everything about this country was founded on the Christian foundations. Um, and especially, we have a president who claims that God put him in power, and which is good. I think God puts people in power, but even so, I also read the gospel for myself. So when somebody says God puts them in power, and when somebody says they're following Christ, I'm holding them on the logic that's on the Bible. I'm holding them accountable. Like, you said you follow Christ, then follow the man who was feeding the hungry, healing the sick, commanding us to love the neighbor as thyself. Because if Christ thought that was the winning strategy, and this country was founded by those foundations as the winning strategy, and we have come this far, what are you going to say, that Christ was wrong? But you said you don't beg and ask for money, Frank. But you said because you can afford to pay prices 3 times. You said you can afford to pay prices 3 times. You know, like if cooking oil was $50, like you'd afford. If kale was $50, you can afford. Uh, you understand, like there are people who go to work and they work hard and they are working like 60 hours. That woman was saying she works 60 hours a week. She's not begging, she's not begging. And she's saying she works 60 hours and their household is making 80,000, and it's a household with 4 kids, and they're like, they're not making ends meet. Those people are not lazy, and those are Americans. They are not lazy. Everybody, yeah, exactly. You have to have proper finances. And I get what you mean, Frank. I really get what you mean. Because if you think about the average American family, they have debt, a lot of it. They probably overspend, which is likely that they overspend, right? They have student debt, they have car loans, they have mortgage. The average American family is just leveraged, very highly leveraged. They don't own their home outright, or their car, or and I see men all the time with all these like 100,000 cars, trying to get girls with these 100,000 cars, and I know that they probably can't afford that car, and they will look down upon me because I have a Honda that's fully paid for, and I'm not asking anybody for money, so I get there is overspending on some level, you know, and especially with social media, you know, we have all these influencers who, you know, they are buying like the Gucci, the stuff like they don't need with borrowed money. Trust me, like I get that. But there is also one thing that you need to see, that when prices go high, when prices go high, uh, guess who has to pay? The normal American working class, you know? And especially for food, they need energy to go to work. Like they need, everybody needs like energy to go to work. You need good sleep, you need food to go to work. And I think when we make the prices of normal things like cooking oil and avocados, like those things like go high, we are affecting the health of the normal person right here. Frank is like, if you can eat steak, I guess you're gonna eat tofu. And I think tofu comes from China. And I think we import tofu and steak. Americans going to turn vegetarian soon. People can't afford steak. They have to become vegetarian by choice. No, but seriously, that's, you know, that's the reality. I'm just saying that's the reality where of the where the economy is headed. You know, um, it's headed that way, so it's not like there's anything much people can do. So I guess if you can't eat steak, you're gonna have to eat tofu, according to Frank, or whatever the cheapest out there protein to sustain you is. My God. Frank, economics are like scrounge. Go scrounge. Nobody cares. Go. You know, I mean, I get your point. Like at some point, people have to work hard for their own and manage money and all that. Yeah, like the good old economics about money. But again, I don't think that it was when people are overspending, getting student loans, getting mortgage loans. Some of that has nothing to do with the migrants. That's just Americans not being able to balance their books. And it goes all the way to the top, Congress not being able to balance their books. And as much as you want to blame the people down there, look at the Congress. They don't balance their books. They are not going to ever not overspend. You know, there's always going to be a deficit, and then that means, you know what? More debt, more money borrowed from China, and more money that we have to pay back to China on interest. You know, so I guess we can blame ourselves for the situation that we are in. An inability to balance the books all the way from the top to the very bottom. It's the system. It's the system we created, you know? Yeah, yeah. I guess it's the system of consumerism, just like I'm being a hungry ghost, you know. Yeah, and I think as much as we want to blame China, we have to blame ourselves for our habits. Our habits. Because it's our behavior and our habits that brought us to this point. It's very hard. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. I guess there's good land up there in the Inland Empire. Is it too hard? I always thought the Inland Empire was too hard to even like plant anything. Oh wow, you get seeds from the library and they're free. See, those are some of the things that people need to know. Like seeds can be free. It's true though. I agree. I totally agree with you because even I think from a spiritual level, from a very spiritual level, we have removed ourselves from the food source. I was in Ohio and my friend has a daycare and those kids did not understand that fries comes from potatoes. They could not make out that big puzzle where fries come from. It's from a potato. And oh my goodness. And so my friend, she's Kenyan, obviously. So she's used to, in Kenya, it's a farming community. We plant, we know things, bananas. We know you can eat bananas, you can cook bananas. Like they know these things. But these kids don't understand anything. They understand brand names. They understand McDonald's. They understand, they just understand like brands like Taco Bell. They don't understand food. They understand brands. I know. And I was shocked. And she was like, I don't cook them bananas because they will not eat bananas, because they are not used to people picking up a real banana, like a plantain, cutting it down, cooking like stew with it. They will not eat that food because they are not used to that food at all. And I was like, oh my goodness, I did not think that we had reached that point. I thought this was like idiocracy is going to happen in 100 million years. Like, I'm like, now I don't know. Now I don't even know what's, I don't even know, you know. And whether you like it or not, that has nothing to do with migrants. That has to do with the American system. In China, people know their food. People know actual food. They know a crab. They know food. That's all has to do with, you know, with we are denying. We are living in a denial that we have done something completely wrong with our system. We're living in denial. But that is going to catch up with us soon. That's going to catch up with us. No system can afford that kind of ignorance when knowledge is the leader of the world. No system can afford it, you know. But anyway, it's the world we are living in. Right now, we have, I don't know if you guys have heard, but I think there is, in America right here, there is a white collar job recession. I saw it like a month ago, people talking about there being a white collar job recession. So, like most office jobs, there's a recession. Yeah, Frank, how do you think the system of doing business in America has changed? That's a good thing to kind of even understand the changes that we are going through and to be ahead of the changes. Because I think one of the things that we are not really doing is not we are really not discussing about what we can do to move ahead. People are stuck on division, and I don't think divisions really there is anything that grows out of it apart from people getting mad with each other. But talking about how businesses have changed, I know like TikTok has changed a lot of the way people do business. Like social media, a lot of people right now, they'll do business with you if you're on Instagram. Like you get into their small little social groups. That has changed. So if you want to go, like, building a sense of community, you know is is actually a big thing. When we all start building a sense of community in our little communities and we work together, that's going to help. um, like on internet platforms, even international platforms, I think it's now time that workers around the world are probably going to start doing more business with each other. Yeah, I mean, COVID brought about that whole thing of essential workers, non-essential workers. Um, we'll see, we'll see, because especially when it comes to housing, obviously, if your job is not so essential, you end up living in like those environments that the temperature is too hot, where it's unlivable, where essential workers will be more needed in residential areas where people really need services and they can get work. And so being able to create your own, to have skills where you can build your own life, your own career, I think that's going to be essential. um yeah, yeah, because if I don't think corporations can hire a lot of people. Yeah, it's just, whew, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, there it's possible to have like a lot of obsolete jobs, but what I think is like the economy is going to go on a decline, you know, and hopefully it goes up again, like kind of like zzz, like up again. Um, kind of like when Russia started this war with Ukraine and we put sanctions on Russia, the economy of Russia came down. But then Russia figured out other places to sell its oil and gas products, to India, to China. And then it just went back to where it was, it figured a new people to buy. So hopefully, I just think people are innovative. I think they'll find a way, the sanctions, the tariffs, they'll bring, the economy down because of the prices, and then I think people will just adjust to the new inflationary levels, and life will continue at a higher cost. And I just think that people will adjust to that. Oh, well, yeah, of course they'll blame the president for the tariffs. Those are his tariffs. Those are the tariffs that are going to lead the prices. I mean, I think he already knows that he's going to get a lot of backlash. He will get a lot of backlash. And I think it's deserved because he's the one who put the tariffs, so he knows it's going to come. Um, but that's what's going to happen. Um, yeah, yeah. I guess when you know it's bad when you have to buy powdered eggs. I guess the people with the powdered eggs are going to win in the market right now. You know. Um, yeah, I'm happy that I actually know what I can eat and what I cannot eat. Um, yeah, yeah, but wait, yeah, powdered milk, man, that is the powdered eggs. I haven't even heard of them. I don't eat eggs. I can't eat powdered eggs. I don't even eat eggs. I'll eat nuts and tofu. Uh, I'll eat nuts and tofu. Yeah, the thing is, I don't have family. I live by myself. So if worst comes to worst, I'll just go for my neighbors for dinner when they're eating steak. I'll just smell it from here. And I'll get my steak. I'll get my steak from them. Yeah. But the problem though with like even a small economic dip due to inflation can really wipe out some people out to poverty. And if you think about when people have to sell their stocks to buy food, um, yeah, some people can be held years back. But I believe people can recover from an economic problem. We've had as human beings, we've had economic problems, we've had health problems, we've had all sorts of problems. And the ability for humans to be resilient and recover from things, it's possible. But if people lack the values that can help them recover, like empathy, kindness, generosity, if people like those kinds of values, those are the values that bring a society up. If people lack those values, it's very hard to recover. I'm not very Christmas caroly. I think at home I don't even play Christmas carols, but I play Christmas carols when I go to the mall and there's like music. Well, for me, I always think it's nice to be empathetic. Like empathy is a higher emotion. And I think right now, I think in America, people are having such economic problems, or they are removed from the normal day average people, that sometimes, Frank, like some of the things that you say, you can come out like unhinged and like with a lack of empathy. And I think you're not just the one. I think when we are moving to that direction in the economy, where we are moving away from the good old gospel of empathy, you know kind of like that worries me a little. um I understand, like, people need to put boundaries, and put, like, I like, especially like when it comes to money. I know there are people who always like asking, like family members asking for money, and I know that I had to put boundaries on, boundaries about my finances, so that I can be responsible and balance my own books. I get that. But I also see that if I'm not careful when I'm putting those boundaries, I can come off as unhinged and unempathetic. And that is not what I want, I want to encourage. So I end up telling people that, hey, I'm not able to help you right now with money, because I also need money right now. If I get a little bit more, and I'm able to help you, then I'll help you. It's not coming from the point where I am unhinged and I don't want to help people, or I want to see them suffer. It's just that I have to look out for myself. And I think we need to make that clear, like when we are talking to people, that it's not like we are not helping because we hate them. It's also because we also suffering. We don't have like enough to just go around, you know um because again, okay, you see, this is what I like to hear. Yes, you're not unhinged, you want to help, but you don't want to encourage, laziness, or people who don't work. I get it, yes. And I think that that's the correct, like, that's the attitude that we can help ourselves get out of the mess that we are in. It's like, let's all work, let's all put together things, let's all work. Everybody is hurting, everybody needs to work, stuff like that, like encouraging the good old work ethic of resilience, working hard, working together, moving forward. uh, because sometimes language, sometimes, like yesterday we were talking about words, about the words that we use. They can either build walls or like open little windows where light can come through. And I think it's always nice to have the attitude where I want my words to open windows, not to just like build walls. And even when we are putting boundaries, we put boundaries, but we communicate care. Like, I care about you, that's why I'm putting these boundaries. I care about myself, that's why I'm putting these boundaries. I don't know that television show. you know and and personally, like myself, like you say, like decrease the surplus situation. I come from the environment where I believe that we live in an abundant planet. you know God says he has placed us in an abundant planet, and he knows each of us by name. And if God knows each of us by name, there is no reason for me to think that we are in a very poor planet, that God put us in a planet where there is not enough food, or there is not enough water for everybody, including the animals and everything. No, he put us in an abundant planet. Even when he put Adam on this planet, he wanted him to take care of the things, because he knew that the planet was abundant. And I don't know where we get into this mindset where we think that there isn't enough to go around. That is a very scarcity mindset, like living in scarcity. I don't encourage people to live in that scarcity mindset, because, you know, there's opportunity to grow. There's always opportunity to grow the economy. There's always opportunity to grow in your heart, in your mind, to learn new skills, to create more jobs. We don't live in a scarcity mindset. Even the way God has created the human brain is that we create endlessly neural circuits. If we are not like the computer, the chip can only do what, how much it's limited by its geometry, the size. But the human being, you can always learn, expand, keep learning, even, grow. So I believe in that mentality of there is abundance. If we can create more and more, there's always going to be wealth. So I don't see a reason why, you can we need to starve people because we think that there's not enough going around. Yeah, and yeah, living in the abundant mindset that there is enough, like we can even create more wealth. We can do much more, right? I don't know, I think a lot of people are probably, I don't know where people just like got into that scarcity mindset, like we don't have enough. And I think it's a very bad mindset, because we live in an abundant universe. We can create more jobs, we can create more skills, we can create more wealth. You know, there is a lot that we can do with the human potential. Yeah. Whenever people like bring the spirit of luck in the economy, for me, I don't like it, because I believe that we have enough. There is a lot going on. We live in an abundant universe. There is no way, like, God did not put us in an abundant universe. Like, even the food that I eat, I don't eat that much. Personally, I don't eat that much food in a day, right? Um, like, honestly, if I go out there and I buy like $9 of like minced meat and I cook like a nice stew, that's probably enough, you know? Uh, that's enough for the day. So I believe like we are in an abundant universe. There is enough. There is enough. There's enough to go around. Um, and yeah, so I believe like there are enough jobs for people to work. There is enough money, there is enough water. There, we live in total abundance. It's only that some people want way too much. Like some people, I mean, I get there are people who eat way more than I do. um and that's why, like, I don't need to eat as much as everybody else. Like, I eat enough. Enough is enough, really. Enough is enough. If I have enough warm clothes, I have enough warm clothes. I have enough. you know but I guess that there are people who don't know when they've had enough. It's just a hungry ghost. More and more and more. They just want to feel that they have more, even if they don't need it. you know yeah, we can all live a minimalist, like think about when you have enough. It's just enough. um a lot of people could do well. Let's say here in California with $150,000, most people can live enough lifestyle, and that including like a family of four. That could be like you all have good food, you can eat, you can go on vacations, you can go to school, like you have enough, right? But you end up finding people they'd rather make, let's say, 500K, but they're not able to take breaks. They are not going on breaks. Their health is suffering. They don't even have time to cook good food for themselves, so they end up getting sick. Then they create this whole imbalance. And when they have this whole imbalance, yes, they have a lot of money, but they are also living in a state of survival, because let's say you're making all this money and you're working, 80 to 100 hours, your body is tired, you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, and you're still living in a scarcity mindset. Your whole nervous system is in a survival mode, and you don't know what's happening. But it's, your body can trick you that you want this thing, but then end up being in a survival mode where you feel like you're not living in an abundant universe. Those programs like assisted living, those programs are expensive. I know people who go to, like, because I've studied the healthcare system in the US. Healthcare system is very expensive if you don't live a healthy lifestyle. Like, people who don't work out, eat healthy, and they're living in the US system, I can just tell you, they're in for poverty. The healthcare system is meant to be expensive, you know. And that's even when you pay for healthcare. The United Healthcare CEO was murdered because those healthcare companies that people pay a lot of money to, they don't want to pay you for when you get sick. Nope. They want to swindle you out of your money. And that's when I say it's horrible when you live in a society where there is no empathy. The system destroys itself. When there's no empathy and you replace that with greediness, the system will just destroy itself. And that's kind of like what you see with, like, United Healthcare. Take people's money, but the willingness to offer the services that they're supposed to do, it's low, because their goal is to make profit. And if you're paying for health insurance company and their goal is to make profit, it means the less services that they give you, the bigger their bottom line, the more money they make. And so every year they're looking, did we make money? And if they're like, oh, we are not on a trajectory to make profit this year, what do they do? Not pay, not pay, not pay, not pay. Um, somebody said that, who was like, once people realize, like, you're paying into the government, you're paying taxes into the government, so it's only fair that you can get something from the government. You're not just giving them money. It's only fair that they give you something for all your pain. And that's why, smart people realize that they need to get something from the government. That's why you see corporations, they're happy to get taxes from the government, because they know that they put a lot of work into creating jobs and getting things done in the economy. They know that they are doing their part, so it's only fair that they get a cut in taxes, and stuff like that. They know that they want to survive it. And as a person who votes, why are you paying taxes if you're not getting anything from your government? That's confronting. That's confronting. So I think there is, like, can you have like a purely capitalist system without any kind of government interference? I really don't. So if you mean like zero government interference, then you say, okay, people can take care of themselves. We don't need social security. People can take care of themselves. But that is not really true. People can't take care of themselves when they are really young and when they are very old. The working class has to take care of the society. That's the people who take care of the society is the working class. Like when you're in your prime years of working, you're paying, even if the government wasn't there to help with social security and everything, then it would mean the average family working, they would have to help their older parents, and then they would have to also help their younger children. Now, if you look at a family, let's say a family of 5 kids, most of the kids are never going to be useful enough to take care of their family members, right? Some of them will not get job. So you find that there's only like two people or one person in the family who is taking care of their elderly parents, or who is taking care of the other people in the family who are not able to help themselves. Because let's trust it, most people are selfish. They're not going to be like, oh, let me help my parents when they are older. Most people don't want to do that. That's why we need a government to help, put things in place. Like then we have things like social security. So even if you're a parent and you've raised all these kids and they grow up and they're like useless, they will not help you when you're older. At least you paid into a system that can help you. So at some point, pure capitalism doesn't really work. That's why we need the government. Because of the very young and the very old, which everybody will fall at that point, at some point, or the very sick and disabled, there has to be something. So like, yes, pure capitalism, as much as I think is better than a slavery system. People gave up the slavery system to capitalism, to give room for capitalism. And obviously nobody wants socialism, because most people are worse off with socialism. So we do have capitalism, but we need a sense of government interference. You can't have pure capitalism. Exactly. Yeah, in a good, perfect world, if I raise you, educate you, help you, all this, right? Yeah, you should be able to help me in my later years. But there are so many things that could go wrong. First of all, that person could get hit by a bus and die. So once you finish educating them and it's they get a job, on their first way to their first job, they could get hit by a bus and die. Then your retirement project is gone, because humans can get sick, they can die, a myriad of things can happen. But they could also be selfish and be like, well, I didn't ask to be here, you gave birth to me, I didn't ask to be born, and I don't owe you anything. Yes, a shitty human being who lacks empathy. We have a lot of people like that. Yeah, so it ends up that we people who work hard, people who are empathetic, people who can work collaboratively, choose to work and pay taxes to a government, but we also expect something back in return. We're not just giving money to a system so that it exists, right? Yeah, and if and let's say like you had there's a lot of things that also come when you empower, like even kids, even poor kids. At the end of the day, for a government and a system to continue, it needs people. You need people, otherwise You end up being like situations like Japan, where now they have to get foreigners in to their countries because they literally don't have enough people. And when you think, if you want enough people, it means women are giving birth. And the one time that women are giving birth is when they are young, when they are not economically well off. So if you're not willing as a society to help women with giving birth, you'll end up with a situation like Japan, where women don't give birth, because if women are not being supported by the government, they don't want to give birth, because who wants to? Who wants to? And once women realize that they don't want to give birth and they stop, your society is as good as done. It's like the last nail on the coffin. So it means you will have to contend with welfare programs in your society, in your government. If you want your civilization to continue, there has to be welfare programs, because the average childbearing woman age is 18. At 18, she's not making a lot of money to care for herself or even another child. So it means if her child is going to go to school, the government has to provide food there, the government has to provide water there. And who is doing that? The working class. The working class is helping her raise her child, so that that child grows up, and that when that child is able to come into, they also start working and they also start paying into the system. So you perpetuate the system with people working. But for people to start working and perpetuate the system, guess what? They have to be born, they have to be educated, they have to be raised. These things don't happen in a vacuum. Like pure capitalism for me is delulu. A lot of people, and I've heard even white men say that they benefited from federal programs, that because they came from very impoverished backgrounds and they wanted to run away from home because it was such a bad place, like very, very impoverished. But the government told them, well, you will be an award of the state if you run away or you're not able to stay at home. So they kind of had to go home, stay there, and get some programs because they are coming from extreme poverty. We can assume that there are enough people coming from extreme poverty. Of course, exactly. If the child dies or it becomes a drug addict, it's not going to it's not going to be helpful for the system. So just like if you had a children, like just like you had 5 children, all these 5 children are not going to be average, like good citizens helping you in your retirement age. It's a numbers game. Probably out of 5 you get 2 good ones that can work and become productive. You're assuming someone will die, maybe somebody will get disabled, someone will fall into drugs. You're assuming all this. It's always a numbers game. So what you don't want happening like right now is like the birth rate among white women has gone down 8%. The birth rate among young white women has gone down 8%. I think among Black Americans has gone down let's say 3 to 5%. And why this is happening is because Black women and white women in America have the least amount of support from their families. These women are out there on their own, like they don't have the extended family helping them raise families. So it's like it's you and your husband or your boyfriend. You're the only ones raising children. They don't have a lot of support from the extended family. So they end up not giving birth as other communities. Now, if you think about the Hispanic community, birth rates are up like 25%. Why? Because those families they live in family units, like proper family units, where a child is most likely going to grow up knowing their grandfather, their grandmother, their auntie, their uncles. They have like real families, and those women end up feeling more safe to give birth to children because they can see, okay, this child will have a thriving family, thriving support system. They'll end up giving birth because they feel supported. So if the American family, average American family, is not like that, and then the government is not stepping in, it means most women will not feel safe to give birth to children. Of course, there are couples, and guess what? The couples that should not be giving birth, they are the ones giving birth, whether you like it or not, because the average educated person realizes they don't want the whole mortgage, they don't want the car loans, they don't want to have to deal with somebody's education loans. They realize like this is such a stress and a burden on its own, and they don't have any help from their families. They're like, hell no, I don't want that. Now that's a rational decision that is actually made by somebody who's calculating, somebody who's logical, somebody who can think, right? That's a logical decision that's made by somebody who's calculating. Now, when you're young, you don't have time to think about the world's problems. No, you go out there, you are partying, you're taking alcohol. It's the first time you've seen a cute guy or a nice girl. You know, you end up having sex, getting babies. It wasn't calculated. Let's not pretend like most of us, our parents did not think like, we need a child. It's a mistake. Just people going after pleasure, and kids are made that way. You know, it's nature's trick of making sure that you procreate. But you fall to that trick when you're younger, when you're less smart than than when you're older. But most young people, but that's not how most people are. If people were, if you're thinking that we have a logical society where everybody is smart, everybody can make calculated decisions. Most human beings, we are not logical. We feel more. We are more like feeling animals. We are not logical animals. We are more like feeling. Oh, I like that guy. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, that girl, she's hot. Those are the instincts that lead us to making decisions. It's not like, what's my balance sheet saying? People don't think like that. People don't think like that. But I also think this is nature. This is what nature had to make a human being to be like, to ensure that they continue giving birth. Because if sex was a logical decision, most of us would not make it. You know, but since it's more like a feeling, an emotional, impromptu thing that you can do out of the moment of excitement, that's why human reproduction is very, very successful. You know, people smash out of not wanting to have babies, out of just pleasure. That's why you know, we are able to build civilizations. We are able to build civilizations because there are people, and you cannot remove that incentive of creating people, because right now we have a population problem. We do. Like if, for example, like if like the birth rate in America among white and black women combined is like 10% lower, it means that there will be a population problem. Like once the baby boomers are gone and the women are not giving birth, it means like woof. Like, you know, bottom line is we need people to continue doing what they do, because civilizations are there because there are people. Otherwise, if there are no people, we do not we do not need decrease in population. That would be the end the end of the great story. Like, you want, if you wanted a problem in society, you don't want it to be like we don't have enough people. That's not the problem that you want to have. You'd rather have like, oh, we have enough people, let's figure out how to feed them. That's a better problem to have for a civilization than to be like, we don't have enough people. You don't want to have that problem. Like, you don't have enough people. What if you don't have enough people, that's the end of your civilization. That's it. You don't have enough people, you're done. So if you don't have enough people, it means that other parts of the world, they will have enough people. You know, just because you're making your population to be small, shrinking yourself, doesn't mean China will do the same. Doesn't mean that, you know, South America will do the same, or Russia or Europe or other Asian countries will do the same. Now, you're shrinking your own problem, you're creating your own problem. You need a population, you need a huge population. And that's why the most civilized societies, they will take good care of their women, because their women, when they are taken care of, they will give birth, and then they will have more numbers, you know. Like, so if you don't have a huge population and then there is a war, right? Let's say there is a war, guess what? Your men are the ones that go first, because they have to go to war. They go, most likely they die in the war, right? What happens is other men from the place where your men have been killed, they come in and they repopulate your population. That's how it goes. So if you're thinking you don't need a huge population, I disagree. I disagree. You know, one of the biggest things that we know, that a civilization is growing, past their numbers have to be high. You know, nobody's going to care about a civilization that has no, like, you don't have huge numbers to begin with. You know, it's, who cares? But on the other hand, now we have the whole globalization and the internet, and you find that, you know, it's platforms right now that matter. A platform like Instagram or Facebook or Twitch, you know, these platforms can have millions of people on those. Like, there are platforms with millions and millions of people. So now we are having like these virtual civilizations that are being created, right? And people keep changing, you know, because of their habits, of the things that they like. And that's also a huge thing, you know. The billionaires now realize, like, if they have platforms, let's say you have your Facebook, right? And you have, let's say, 1 billion people, that's kind of like a whole country, right? And they're from different countries, like they're from different worlds, like they are kind of coming from different parts of the country, right? And you're controlling their economics. And I think a point where the billionaires are like, they don't care much of the geographic location anymore, because they think that they have platforms that surpass geography, you know. They can make money almost from anybody across the planet. So I don't think like in the future, like these huge global companies really care about geography anymore, because they have platforms that are way beyond geography. Yeah. Okay, so I've had that phrase, you know, chewing more than you can bite. Like, you know, when you have a lot of food, then you can biting more than you can chew, you know. When you bite like a huge chunk of food, but you're not able to chew it. Um, I really don't think it's because of there being a big population, like the problem that we have, like a deficit problem in America. I really don't think it's because like American population is not that big. Okay, let's say we have like 350 million people, and let's say we have an additional 10 million migrants. So we have like 360 million people in America. We still have like a $23 trillion economy. But if you, this economy would be more efficient if, okay, take out the corruption, the red tape, stuff like that, like you can take out, right? I hear that if you sell this, like if you were to get a pen that you buy $5 or maybe a dollar something from the store, if you sell it to the government, like federal government, you sell them for 7,000. I'm like, that math doesn't add up to me. So it's the I don't even think it's the population. I just think it's the distribution, the efficiency of the systems that we have. They are just ineffective, inefficient. And I come like from Kenya, and so a place like Kenya, we know like every 5 years there is going to be a drought. Like it's probably not going to rain as much as it rains every 5 years. There's always like this spell, like this drought. And that's when you hear the news saying, oh, there's hunger at the Horn of Africa, people are starving, because we know that we have drought seasons that come every. Now you would think, because we know that we have drought spells and everything, that our food distribution would be effective, our storage systems would be more effective, well planned out, well thought out, because we know this problem exists. Like we know this problem exists. But year after year, year after year, year after year, they don't improve the storage systems, the water systems. Like this problem perpetuates not because of the population, not because that there are so many Kenyans, but what do you expect? We expect population to grow, because on a healthy democracy, or with a healthy population, it should not be shrinking. If it's healthy, if we are doing everything right, we should be expanding, and our economy is expanding. That's what the universe does. The whole universe is expanding. We should be expanding too. So I think most honestly, I think most countries, they rise and fall on the same values, whether it's Kenya, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, whether it's Canada, or they will rise and fall on the same values. If a country is wasteful, if a country is wasteful with its resources, it's going to decline no matter what you say. If it's wasteful because of corruption, because people are not well educated, they're misusing their system or their programs, just waste, right? If it's wasteful, that's what it does. But when a country is more efficient, it's able to grow its population, and it's able to expand its economy, because it's more efficient, and it's economical on how it's using its resources. And I think that's kind of like everywhere, across the board. I don't think those principles change at all. I mean, you can't compare Kenya and America, because Kenya is the size of California, and the US is huge, right? So I really would not want to compare, because it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges. Yeah. Yeah, because Kenya is operating on its own economy, and the US is operating as an economy of scale. Yeah, because if the whole US is you like 50 states, like it's a huge economy of scale, 50 states. and Kenya is operating as one economy like California or kind of like just Mexico. So comparing an economy of scale and comparing a small economy, yeah, yeah, exactly. So they're operating at very different levels, you know. But what I think, whether it's a small economy or a big economy, the principles of good economics, you know, just they don't change. Uh, the Kenyan economy is kind of like California, right? In terms of population, it's also very like California in terms of its agricultural based, very tourist based. Um, we have tourism, agriculture, fishing. I mean, it's just like a normal running economy, but I do think that obviously like small economies like Kenya have a lot of interference from the West. Like the West can really mess up the economies of those small countries. So right now I have seen Kenyans, kind of the Kenyan economy, start to stand up for its own. Kenya is now like, we are not business partners with everyone, but we are working with everybody. So now Kenya is open to working with China, working with the US, working with Europe, is working with India. Kenya has come to realize like, hey, all these economies, they would rather come and suck our resources, leave us dry, and go benefit their countries. And now African economies are starting to realize like we need to put more boundaries, kind of like what the US is doing, putting more boundaries so that other states are not taking advantage of them. Because in the world economic stage, you just have to realize like states are selfish. Every state is selfish. They're just working on their own selfish needs. And if you're not able to look out for your own interest, you're just cooked. Yeah, because states are selfish. Every state, like most countries, are just looking, they are like kind of like wolves. They are just looking to take advantage of other countries for their own good. That's the economics, like that's the international politics. Like most states are selfish. The US is working on for its own selfish interest, and so is China working on its own selfish interest, as they should. So um, yeah, as it should. Like every country is looking out. Trust me, even whether it's the Democrats or whatever, every country, when it goes to the economic stage, like when I look at the US economics, I don't think I think Trump and the Democrats are looking to do the exact same thing when they look outside of America. They are looking to exploit as many countries as they can for America's gain. That's America's deal. Whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans in power, that's what they've done over and over and over. That's what America has always done. Um, yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's for their own selfish interest, you know. And whether, you know, Denmark is going to, most likely Denmark is probably going to say no. I don't see Denmark saying yes to that, because also again, because countries operate under their own selfish interest. Most countries, they want people to respect their borders and not interfere with them, um, because that's the international law right now. It's like people want their borders respected. Now, if Greenland doesn't, if Greenland, if Denmark doesn't want Greenland, fine, it can sell it. Yeah, exactly. So you will put America first. Like somebody in Denmark is going to also put Denmark first. So you have to understand that it's a mutual game. You know, it's a mutual game. It's like you want your borders respected. You want your borders respected. You end up respecting other people's borders because you want yours respected. But it's like you can in international, otherwise there's going to be war. You can say, oh, because we are Americans, we will just have you respect our borders, but we will not respect yours. It also doesn't work that in a civilized international community. Like people will be like, that's not what civilized people do. That's what bullies do. When they say you respect my borders but I won't respect yours, most people will not have it. That's why we had like a 30-year war in Europe. For 30 years in Europe, the Westphalian Wars, Europe fought civil wars for 30 years so that they can demarcate Europe and make sure that nobody like, so to make sure that the borders of Europe, they are respected. Europe fought for 30 years to make sure that every border in Europe is, the French and the Germans, they all made sure the English people, they fought for 30 years to make sure, just for the borders alone, for borders alone. So when you think about the borders are very, very, like, it's territory basically. And under international laws, we have a law that you must respect the borders of other countries. That's why it was very shocking for Russia to invade Ukraine, because you would think that people were kind of had already set those borders, and they were like, okay, we think that we have already set those borders. And then you see like China attacking Taiwan, why it's still a very highly contested thing that they could go and just invade a sovereign nation where its borders have been demarcated. So in international laws, we have borders uh, because that's what states do. They have borders, and in their borders, they have their own laws and their own territories and their own things, going on inside their borders. And right now, it's expected that civilized nations respect other people's borders. Now, if the US wanted to buy Greenland and Denmark was like, okay, hell, we need some money, take Greenland, we don't even care, that would be fine. It would be fair. Like, okay, they parted away. But I think also the US saying that, oh, we are going to punish Canada economically so that we can annex their border. It's like we can annex them. I mean, that's straight up war. Like that says, like, that is war. That is like, you can either give somebody a carrot or you can give them a stick. And the US is like, we are not giving any carrots to Canada. We are just going to give them sticks. And they are going to bend. So, I mean, it's interesting. We are going to see this unravel and see how it's going to go. Yeah, for Frank, it's like you prefer to give them sticks than carrots. So we're going to see if if Canada will bend to the sticks, but already we see that, we already know the mood in Canada right now. They were booing when the US national flag was being sung. They were booing. They did not want it sung. We've seen them taking to the streets, burning like the US flag. So we know the mood in Canada. It's like, you're giving us sticks and we don't want the sticks, yeah. And they would have to vote. The Canadian citizens, they'd probably have to vote whether they want to be part of the United States or not. I know there are Canadians who probably want to be part of the United States, and if they were given the vote, they'll probably vote to be part of the United States. Because I was looking at some comments from I was looking at the comments when they were talking when Trump was saying that he wants Canada to be part the 51st state of the US. And I was looking at it, and there were some Canadians who were like, yeah, I would want to be part of the US. I was like, okay, you know, you would think that they would act more defensively about their being Canadian. Um, but why am I not surprised? It's Canada. Why am I not surprised that they are not like fighting for their sovereignty? I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be sovereign. Maybe they want to be part of something bigger. And they can come here. They can come here. They can become part of us. We don't care. Hey, if Greenland wants to come, if Greenland wants to be part of the US, that means like that's a place that I'll need to be. I can go to Greenland and not worry about having to do all these like exchanging my dollars for euros. I'm okay with that. I could go to Canada and not have to exchange my American dollars for the Canadian whatever they have, fine. If I'm going to Greenland, I'm just going for a few days, then I'm out. You know, um, yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if I mean, it would be nice to expand the borders. Ideally, you do want to expand your borders if you can. And right now, I think that's what the EU did. The small states of Europe, they decided to become an economy of scale, right? So they decided to give up some of their rights to create the EU, right? And then Britain decided they didn't want to be part of that union, and they had the whole Brexit. But it served them, it serves them to protect themselves from an adversary like Russia, right? It does help to operate as an economy of scale. And I think that's kind of what I would want to see Africa also do, because most African countries are small economies and they are working on their own, so they are not able to compete internationally, basically because they are not working as an economy of scale like the US. Working as a huge economy of scale is good. And you can see like the US has had economic dominance because from California to Maine, people speak one language. You can get McDonald's everywhere. You can get Starbucks everywhere. Like even small businesses are able to expand into several states and operate as economies of scale, which is good. Now, Africa doesn't have one unifying language, so that makes it harder for Africa to operate as an economy of scale. China, on the other hand, China is very different. It's huge and it's growing and expanding. They are able to operate as one huge economy of scale. That is huge. Now, you've seen how like already China has on its own, it's a huge economy, but they want to bring in the BRICS. Now they bring in Brazil, which is also a huge economy, India, very huge. I think Indonesia is getting in to the BRICS. And then we have South Africa. So now those economies can really become like huge if they started operating those economies as one block. It would mean that if those economies decided they want to use the Chinese yuan, so instead of having the South African rand and the Indonesian whatever and whatever and whatever, they just use the same currency, the yen. That would be a very, like, that would shift a whole lot of economies in the world. Yeah, because now China would be controlling the yen, and it's being used in several countries. Now that would be a whole different story. And they are talking about it. It's not like this is like a silent conversation. It's like a conversation that's out there internationally, that they are talking about it. So, and I think that's kind of why the US wants to expand its territories. It can expand into Canada and expand into Greenland because of what the BRICS might do. It's a huge, if you think about it, it's a huge economic threat to the dollar. But we don't know. We still don't know what it's going to happen, when they're going to happen, if even these countries can work together. Um, yeah, but it would be if the US could expand its territories to its neighbors. Like, I mean, I think Canada would be a good one. Like, strategically, I think Canada would be a good move. For if Canada was to join the US, that would be a good move for the US. Because if you think about countering the power of the BRICS, you know, yeah, like, why do you think Greenland is better than Canada? Like, to earn, getting Greenland is better than getting Canada. You can control the world's water, control the water of the world, because it's all ice. Yeah, I can see that being a good territory for war because it's just far removed. And the US has benefited a lot because of its geographic location. It's really difficult to attack the US because of where it's located in the map. The US is very far from China, very far from the Middle East, very far from places that could be a threat geographically to it. So geographically, the US actually has benefited by being far, by just not being close. Yeah, yeah, not a lot of people have that. And that's kind of, would Europe want to give up such a strategic location to the US? That's a huge, we'll see how that plays. We'll- The, I mean, the David, like, yes, yeah. I think I've heard about them, but I really haven't like looked deeper into. So this is a defense system, right? Designed to intercept enemy planes, drones, ballistic missiles, rockets. The hit to kill. It's an air defense, huh, for Israel. Oh, yeah, I think honestly the better you are at this time, like the better you are at killing from a distance, like missiles or bombs or stuff like that. Countries can defend themselves, but I always think like the best defense is promoting peace. And that's why like you find that in many traditions, even spiritual traditions, they know that war never leads to a good place. It never really ends well with war. So most places they will promote peace. That's when people thrive, they have families, they build businesses, they are able to do things. It's during times of peace, those precious times of peace. So I always think, um, I trust, for me, I'm a Christian. I trust the Bible when it says, like, a weak leader will bring chaos and a good leader will promote peace, and for me, that ends with that, like good leadership for me equals peace, bad leadership equals chaos. That's what the Bible says. That's how you know. Because all people want is really peace and economic prosperity so that they can raise their kids, they can do fun things, enjoy their lives, you know. Uh, yeah, I don't want to be the one to suffer. Other generations ahead of me or behind me, they can come and suffer the war, but I don't want to live in a war-torn country or a war-torn world. I want to live in times of prosperity and peace. That's all I want for my life before I go. That's how I want to spend my life. Yeah, but it's nice to have those capabilities to defend yourself in an increasingly, like, in a world where it's increasingly unsafe. Yeah. Yeah, basically it's very difficult. Like, look at what happened with Ukraine, you know, because Ukraine was not in the NATO, it was very easy for Putin to attack Ukraine. And he's probably going to win this war because I don't know how long Ukraine can hang on to that war, you know. Um, it's good to be able to to defend yourself. And Yeah. Whether it's economically or whatever, of military wise, it's good. But I think what for me I would want for world leaders is to be able to work out a situation where there is peace. For example, like when we had like all the states had their own borders, and like they're sovereign within their borders, and everybody is respecting that, it brings in a long period of peace. I'm not saying that there won't be like problems here and there, but on a grand scale, like there is they are not like huge wars, which that is what I want. When I feel like there can be relatively long periods of peace. um, we can't be bored with peace. Yeah, it's very sad when people are like, oh, we live in a peaceful world, and they're like, it's so boring, we need to go to a war. No, we don't need a war. We can all stay quiet, because you know um, the average person doesn't benefit from peace. It's very, like, if you think about there being a war and America has to go to war, American families suffer because it's their children who have to go to war and fight and die, get killed, or come back maimed. And we all seen the situations with the veterans. You know, they have mental health problems. They are impoverished. Um, it never really ends well for them. Um, exactly. That's why we kind of, it's better to just promote a peaceful situation. Like, um, yeah, I think with all that money that is all going for like all the peacekeeping forces around the world, we could pay debt. We could pay China off all the debts that we have, the 800 billion. All that money. If we decided, well, cut the deficit, like cut that, let's pay the budget, what we owe China, that would be great. But right now, it's like we are mounting a lot of debt, and we are paying China a lot of money from our taxes, and China is going to use that to build its own military capabilities. That's what they're gonna do. So, and you cannot not pay what you owe China, because once you stop paying people you owe money. Why is this not working? Oh, it's working. Once we stop paying them the money that we owe them, we don't pay them, then they will say that we are becoming a banana republic, that we don't pay our debts, which is very bad, you know um, which is very bad for the dollar. Now, I do think the changes that are going to happen in the US, they are going to be painful. Trust me, they're going to be painful for the average American. But as much as I feel bad, as much as I feel bad for those changes, I think it will make people wake up. It will make at least a majority of Americans wake up and realize that they also have a responsibility to the rest of the world, to be mindful in their spending, in their buying things, that this whole, like this whole consumerism, um, you know, they'll start to be mindful. Instead of buying expensive nails that are like this, where you cannot do any kind of job, you know you become more mindful with the food that you buy. You know um I just think that for people who, like, my opinion about people who are, I don't like to call people illegal. Like, I don't like calling somebody an illegal. Yes, they are undocumented um, migrants, you know, they are undocumented migrants. I think that's a consequence of having obviously not protecting your borders, um, which is what the government should do, protect its borders, you know. But I'm also a mental health advocate. So as a mental health advocate, especially like the people who are born on this, like born here, born in the country, you know, that's a huge thing, you know, because we had similar problems in South Africa, you know, where, you know, like migrants came from Europe, and they came from Europe, they came from all over the world, they settled in South Africa, and they started having babies. And so we have all these mixed race kids born in South Africa. For you to tell those kids that, well, you're not from here, like you're not from South Africa, like how, that's kind of like, you know, they're born in South Africa, that's their only home that they know. They were born there, they don't know anywhere else, they were born in South Africa. And then, you know, if you start telling them that's not their home, like what's their home? You know, maybe they have one parent from let's say Denmark, and then they have another from Indonesia. What are they, where are they going to go? Are they going to go to Indonesia, or are they going to go to Denmark, or are they going to call home the place that corner of the world where they were born? You know, like such kinds of things. When you start calling people illegal, like you have to be mindful about the people and their identity and where they are born and what they call their home, you know. No, like I'm saying, like their parents did come to South Africa illegally. They were settled by the Europeans. The Europeans had a problem in Europe. um, Europe was congested or whatever, and they were moving people out of Europe. And some of them came to the US, some of them came to Africa, you know. And then there was all these people who were trading like with ships, and they had to stop in South Africa to offload. So in their process of offloading, you know, people, they will smash. Some people will get pregnant, like all of that, right? And people will get born. You know, you can't stop the world from populating just because you have borders and political systems. You know, human beings don't operate like that. On one level they operate like, so so you have all these people, like they are mixed kids, maybe their parent is African or European, like they, and then you start telling them they are not South African. You know, it doesn't make sense, because that is affecting somebody psychologically. This is their home, they were born there on that land, you know. So naturally that's their natural home, that's what they know, that's their natural home. And so for us to impose laws that tell them their natural homeland is not their home, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just giving you an example that's not related to your country, so that you can see how ridiculous it is on other countries, and so that you kind of also like put two and two and realize it just sounds as ridiculous as it is, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, whether it's any other place, you know. Um, so you asked my opinion, I'm giving you my opinion. Um, so I find that some of those things are ridiculous, you know. That's my opinion. I would not vote as a mental health advocate, and just knowing that people need a place to be accepted and belong. yeah, I would not vote to break up families like that without being mindful. Now, if, for example, the government knows like these people, like these are criminal, they are undocumented, they are here doing crimes, I'm like, don't even think twice. Take them, get them out, get them out, you know? Like for that, I don't even have 2 cents. Like, okay, like you can't just go cross the border to another person's country and then you start committing crimes, you know? Um, so yeah, those kinds of deplorable human beings. And actually, I don't even care whether they are Americans or they are foreigners, like people who commit crimes. I don't have sympathy for criminals, whether they are born here or not born here. I don't. I have zero sympathy for criminals of any race, any color, any nationality. I don't care. Yeah, so yeah, so I like when it comes to people like and immigration, I totally 100% disagree with the right, like with so many things that the right is doing. Um, should we deport criminals? Yes. Do I think like immigrants, like I'm an immigrant and I have never even had like the government do anything for me, you know, like I haven't had any kind of support from government or anything. I support myself. So for me, what I hear is a lot of noise because I haven't had any support from anybody. Um, I think what people don't need is criminals, and I don't care whether they're born here or they are not. Like I don't want criminals at all. I can deal with any other person. Like any other person, fine, but like people who kind of like steal. Like the other day I had somebody steal my bike, okay, a few years ago. Like somebody came into my garage and stole my stuff. Like I don't care whether you are born here. Like I don't want you stealing my stuff at all, you know. Like I get pissed. Yeah, but and also on the other hand, like I'm not an asshole. Like I'm not going to, you know, I'm not like Dr. Phil. I'm not going to go around like, oh, like I don't know, like I think like people like Dr. Phil are deplorable. Like you're a whole doctor, you have money. Like why are you out there? Kind of, like some things like I'm just like sick of it. Uh, like he's this big guy with money and he's just going to go to the littlest like small little fly and kind of start showing them how big muscles you have. I'm like, I'm over it. uh, like I'm a Christian, from a Christian perspective, like that's not what you do, you know, kind of like not what you do. like like I like Christ because he was not really concerned about the small little poor people. He was more concerned about the rich poor, the rich corrupt. His eyes were more looking on the rich and the corrupt in society and what they were doing to society, and how they were also trying to get the little poor people to fight against each other. And I think that's the society. A lot of people are blind to the corruption that's happening way out there. And since they cannot do anything about the rich and the famous and the corrupt, it's easier to look down at the poor immigrants and kind of think that they are the real problem, when actually they don't have the guts to look up there and see how much corruption is happening at the top and ruining the system. They don't have the guts to do that, so they end up, you know, kind of like looking at the downtrodden in society and being like, you're the problem, you're the problem. For me, I see there's a lot of hypocrisy there. It's a lot of it. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy looking that way. And, you know, and I think that was the whole gospel of Christ, like saying, well, feed the rich, the poor, and the hungry, because those are the list of your problems. The problems is like these Pharisees who are pretending to follow every law and everything, but they're just rotten, you know. You know. Yeah, so there's always like that divide and conquer the society, which, you know, the rich have always been able to do that, whether it's like the British imperialism, you know, they know how to divide the average, like poor working class. They divide them so they conquer them. You know, they have to bring always like those two sides where they make you fight each other so that they can conquer. Like, so I'm always very suspicious about the like the rich class, you know, like the bourgeois. I know like their strategy, you know, they benefit from the chaos of the masses. Like, that's what they want. They want a chaotic, they like chaos because they can capitalize on the chaos. You know. um, yeah, so yeah, so like there are things that like that, you know, but I think I just have to I've come to accept that's how like people will be conquered. Because I mean, if it was happening 2000 years ago and Christ was talking about it and it's still happening today, I don't think there's anything much I can do about it myself. Like, I think it's a trend. It happens, and there's nothing much you can do about it. It's a divide and conquer society. Like, you know, the more you divide the masses, the better, you know. Oh, hi, Halima. Nice to see you. There's always something to gain. Like the woof. Like there is always something to gain. Like people think that the rich cannot collude against like the poor and the working class. And I think that's kind of like, if you don't think they can collude against us, of course they can collude against us. Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's why we have inflation. It's the rich colluding against the working poor and the poor. That's how they squeeze they squeeze the working class. If you think about energy, like the working class, they're exchanging their energy, their productivity for money, right? And if you put things to be high, like if you put inflation to be high, it means that they will have to get less from for their energy, for their productivity, because now with everything being expensive, the working class has to pay more for the goods and services. So who's getting squeezed? It's them, because their salaries are not going to go up, but they will have to pay more. So for their productivity, they have to pay more. Boom. That's how the rich squeezes squeezes the working class. The poor are already poor. So, you know, the poor is already poor, but the people who stand to gain is the working class. So they kind of squeeze them. And that's how, like, these new tariffs, the inflation will definitely squeeze the working class more. The rich will not get squeezed by inflation because they can still afford. Even if you make everything expensive 3-4 times, the rich will always afford. But the working class, they have bills, they have gas, they have school fees, they have shoes to buy for their kids, and they have to buy more, like more expensive for the same, for productivity. That's how they squeeze them out. Yeah, the poor, they are poor, so they're not getting really squeezed. The rich are not getting hit. And you think it's not the poor doing this to the poor are not the ones doing this to the working class. It's the higher ups. Because that money goes doesn't go to the poor, it goes to the rich. Hi Eric, thanks. Yeah. um yeah, but obviously the rich will not tell you that they are the ones squeezing you. They are going to tell you to look at the poor. They are the ones doing that to you. So the working class will get mad at the poor because they think that it's the poor, but it's the whole divide and conquer society. It's like, I squeeze you, but I tell you, not me, it's him. It's him who's squeezing you, not me. Me? I'm not doing anything. I'm here creating jobs for you so that you can work hard. Then I squeeze you, but I will not tell you that. You divide and conquer, and the poor never thought, like, oh, the rich, the middle class and the rich have no, and the poor have no clue that they are being played in this endless game. But it's always gone, it's always been like that. It's always going to be like that. Who's gonna tell them? That is why right now, if you're working class America, you have to know that it's like you're running on a treadmill. A lot of Americans are feeling that they are burning out because they are working so hard and getting nowhere. Yeah, they feel like they are running on a treadmill. They're headed nowhere. They are crying, I'm burning out. It's, yeah, getting a job is very, very, like, in an economy where, like, you're getting squeezed, getting a job will cause you to burn out. But we sold people the American dream. We sold it to them. We told them, work, work, work. You're going to get the picket fence. You're going to get everything. But in reality, most people have a mortgage, they can't pay. Car loans, can't pay. Student loans, can't pay. It's like, what's going on here? And they complain. Americans complain long enough. You would tell them it's the 10 million migrants that are here that are causing you to have a miserable life. Look at them. I'm like, of course, it hurts the American worker to feel that they are helping somebody else when they are getting squeezed. But the real problem, the very real problem, it's very unsound economic policies. Those. Those coming from the top, right there. Man. But yeah, don't tell people, don't tell them. They don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear it because they'd rather have an enemy and fight that enemy You know, people would rather feel that they have an enemy that they are fighting. And, you know, all you have to do is to present them an enemy that they can attack and see a live human that they can really brutally attack. But I think Americans have been squeezed by the Democrats and the Republicans over and over. They've been screwed over and over, you know. Exactly. That's why we had the 2008, you know, the 2008, you know, it was very unsound policies coming from the banks and the housing industry. And who ended up gaining? You know, who ended up losing? The middle class ended up losing. Who ended up gaining? The higher ups, you know. They're the ones who ended up like they had very unsound economic policies, you know, and oh, it's really it's the game repeats itself so often that you know that when they're squeezing the middle class, the upper guy, there's a guy up there who's going to gain a lot of it, right? And you know, and people don't believe that they can like they that there can be a collusion that the rich can actually collude to squeeze. Man. It goes yeah, I know it goes in circles and circles and circles, which is okay for a while, right? But you know, timing is everything. They might try to do this move at the wrong timing, and it can really hurt the American economy, especially if the outside economies are doing better. They could try to squeeze us the wrong time. It's all about timing. It's all about the timing, and it can go really bad. Yeah, that's what I think myself. But you know, I like to be optimistic. You know, I always like I think it's better, it's good mental health to be optimistic, even if you're looking and okay, like even if we know like in the near future people are going to kind of suffer with high prices, it's nice to always have like a positive economic outlook that somehow, you know, Americans have always worked together and they'll reach to a point where they're like, okay, we can still work together, we can still find new ideas. um, you know, I'd love for Trump to succeed in like rebuilding this America, like kind of cutting down the deficit, the spending, and that might probably help the dollar, you know. Keeping it real, he says like, I just like to be realistic. So I don't watch the Grammys. I never, I really don't watch the Grammys. I was looking at the charts, and I knew there was some Grammys because I saw that Beyonce won another, like, what was it, country music. But I don't know, I always think that the Grammys are rigged, you know. Do you want to tell me Beyonce is the best country singer? I'm always like, how did she become the best? You know, she likes Grammys. She likes to win things. And And she's in such a high place where I think she can coerce people to give her Grammys. So I don't really care for the Grammys myself. Yeah. I mean, I believe Hollywood is entertaining, but it's also like the capital of Satan. So I don't really care what they do at all. I call it the capital of Satan. Frank says it was a shit show. BS. Don't care about it. You know? Yeah. I mean, I think Beyonce always wins like Grammys. And I think like people like her need to kind of like leave and give it room for either other young talent, because I'm very, she's a mother now, she has like all the kids. I'm like, give young talent, we need to see young talent, you know. It's their time. And I think when like millennials right now, like Generation X, should just give room for young talent, other people to come up and have their moment in the sun. It's the time of their youth, you know. Right? Yeah. But I don't think they'll do that. I think they're going to take all the Grammys until they drop dead. I really don't care for the little awards. Oh, you did so good. Here's a present. You know, it reminds me of like when I was in primary school, and you know, after you did the test and they had to announce like, oh, you came number one, oh, here's your present, they give you badges, you know. At one time I had like the badges that they had me put on: best in math, best in English, best in Kiswahili. Like I had all these decorations, and I was like, me having those kind of decorations, I realized when, because I was studious, and they were, they had to show that, I work hard, I'm good. But I think like it kind of made me not less liked by the other students, just because like I was smarter and they were not, and they could not see like we are in the same level, so they kind of like didn't they liked me less. But then they had me wear like all these badges, and I was like, this is alienating my friendships. um Yeah, exactly. They are like a really like a bullseye target. And I didn't have the emotional intelligence to kind of know that, that you don't want this. You don't want to have a chip on your shoulder all the time. Literally like having a chip on your shoulder. you know, uh, because yes, people see that, and they see that they might think that you lack humility. um, and then you're not always going to be number one. There's always somebody else who's going to be better the next time. And kind of like the pressure the society puts on us, that we have to be always like here, 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 here. I think sometimes that can lead to a lot of stress. And when you realize like most of the times you don't even get ahead by being number one, you get ahead by just having good relationships and healthy boundaries, healthy relationships with other people. Billy Joe has a song called Pressure. Let me see that. It has 20 million views, 12 million views. I was saving it to my list. I have a list here that is like fun music. Yeah, I think there is going to be a lot of pressure right now. Um, I'm going to listen to it. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure right now from the working class right now in America. People have been complaining about burnout, you know, like especially the last few years because of the inflation, they've been complaining about burnout, burnout, burnout. Now I think we are going, yeah, yeah, watch it out. It's going to be like bam, like woo woo. I just feel sorry for the American worker. Like, you know, um, somebody was telling me that he was working with the homeless community, and really the government was putting them in hotels because a lot of people don't want to see the problem. Like a lot of communities, like rich neighborhoods, they don't want to see homeless people. They just don't want to see homeless people. Do you hear me? That they don't want to see the homeless people, like they don't want to see people homeless in their neighborhood. So because the government doesn't, they don't want to see them, and the government doesn't know where to put them, the government puts them in hotels so that people don't see them. Because people don't want to. It's, I think, an American thing that you can get allergic to homeless people, you don't want to see them. And so the government has to put them in hotels so that they disappear. I guess they do, magically disappear. You know, but I don't, even if you put a drug addict in a hotel, you're just going to help him do more drugs. See, that's the problem. Like, he will do more drugs because, yeah, I mean, you just gave him a hotel, a nice place to sit. But the real problems that people are getting poor mental health, like the breakdown of the American family values gone wrong, no support for the family, all these things, if they're not tackled, you know, man, have you been to San Diego? I mean, I think they need like 10 hotels to house homeless people now that we don't want to see them. Exactly. Yeah, thanks. Like, I mean, imagine like you're a teenager and you just went from home, you're homeless, and now you get housed in a hotel and there are drugs. There is nobody to give you any rules. Bring them on. Let's do this. you know? Yeah. So I don't even know what's worse. That people are so much in denial that they don't want to see the problems that we are in, you know? Like they don't want to see where exactly we are in. And because we want to hide the true story from them, we can put like homeless people in hotels so that they don't see them. And you you even asked if he needed anything else. You even asked him if he needed anything else. Oh, wow. Do you need water or anything? Do you need water or anything? Are you hungry? Yes, yeah, I need a joint. Yeah, all I need is a joint now. Oof. Oh, see? Yeah, why? Yeah, I know. But I think that's where the working class in America will find themselves. They will find themselves needing to smoke a joint soon. If they are not already smoking a joint from the squeeze, right? That's where it's going. That's where it's going. The economy we are in is creating more homeless people than it's creating homeowners. I said it. I said it. Hello, Sarthak. He told me his name was Mike Whiting from Wyoming. Yeah, yeah, I think the economy we are in though. Sarthak, how's it going? How's life? For real? Have a good day too, love. Have a good day too. Yeah. I mean, places like New York, if you don't house people in the winter and they're homeless, they'll definitely die. So I don't think the government at that point has a choice, because the weather is just deadly. And if you're an elected official, the last thing you want is people to associate you with death, because I wouldn't want to be associated with people dying. Today we are just talking about the economy, the world economy, what's changing, everything that's going on. I know you're in India. Here in America, we are bracing ourselves for inflation. Yeah. So I guess the people who benefit from like the US, yeah, yeah, like I feel bad for the people who are like waiting for the working class in the US to send them money, kind of like how Mexicans and Africans, they depend on the US working class to send them like some money there. This economy is not leaving room for people to send money anywhere. you know they're going to be in for a shock, because here things are about to, the prices of things, we are bracing ourselves, when like when the airline is like there's like chaos, and like you're told to brace yourself. We are bracing ourselves. So yeah, so we are talking about the economy here. So Sarthak, I know you're there in India. This, yeah, hang on. Yeah, there's gonna be turbulence. Hang on. It's about to go like this for real. Yeah. Nothing wrong. He'll just have to pay more for everything. It's just going to get expensive here in the US. But aside from that, I think we are good. It's really just money. That's all. He's probably going to stay back here and walk like everybody else. I think a lot of foreigners actually kind of stay. I mean, and it depends, right? So if you come to the US and you already have like, you've decided like you have a wife waiting back home, because like a lot of African men who come to study, like my cousin, he studied in England, but he did not like to live in England. He just did not like that lifestyle. And, he thought Kenya would give him more opportunities. And actually, Kenya did. He went back to Kenya, got a great job, had a family, bought a home, all that, all that. And he realized pretty quickly that Europe wasn't his thing, you know. Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad that he realized that, he realized pretty quickly that this is not gonna work for me. So yeah, it all depends, especially, you know. Um, I say like he's actually made a better decision, made a better decision. Oh, so he already has. So that's nice. When you move into a new country, actually the best thing that you need is a supportive, like, support. Like, whether you need a family support, it's really like, I think if you move to any Western country, whether it's England, Europe, here, there's no point of moving if you don't have a supportive family or supportive people waiting for you. You know, it's kind of like, it's not even worth it. I don't like loneliness at all, you know. It's true, but we are social beings, like we are very social, like, creatures. And you do need somebody to talk to, like, let's say you had a bad day at school or something happened. It's nice to go home and have somebody you can have an adult conversation, talk to, you know um, just for your mental health, somebody who is soothing and loving, caring. We need that. like like there are things that we need, like the same way like kids need a parent to, somebody to cook for them, talk to them, care for them. Even as adults, we need that. mm, Nice, we can go. I want to go to an Indian wedding. That would be nice. Yeah. Like, yeah, my the last place I was working, my boss got married. She got married to an Indian guy, and wow, she's a white girl. She got married to this Indian man. She looked so good in the sari, and they had like this beautiful, beautiful wedding. You know, yeah. I I haven't seen their kids. I hope she's like getting kids because I'm sure that their kids are so pretty. Yeah, they made a very cute couple. You see? Trying to see like photos. So that's them. Very cute. Very cute. Yeah. Yeah, she was getting like all this. They put like stuff on her face. Yeah. It was a very beautiful wedding. So eventually they did like their own like Christian wedding. Yeah, look at her those are her hands. Her hands, her legs. Yeah, it was very cute. It was a very cute wedding. Yeah, look at that. That was cute. Yeah. So that is called hadi, where they put the turmeric on the whole body of the bride and groom before the marriage, and the mehendi on girls' hands and foot. Oh, yeah. It's a whole, yeah. I didn't know like Indian weddings, they're like this huge, it's a big, big deal, you know? Like, you know, you're getting married for life because it's a huge thing. Yeah, but it's beautiful. It was also beautiful. And the wedding was, I think the wedding had like over 500 people. Yeah, it was in Palm Springs. Huge wedding. Yeah. So yeah, Sarthak, invite us. We'll go to the wedding. We will go. We will go. Yeah. It's a huge deal. You know, I think yeah, because people can just go do a civil wedding, kind of just go register for a marriage license, get married, you know, maybe take a few photos by the beach. It's done. You know, people don't think much about it, but it's a huge thing. You see, Frank, the way I was talking to you, Frank, you remember how we were talking about how, like, I was saying, like, black women and white women in America are not giving birth to kids as much, especially when they don't have the support of the family. Look at how different it is from like Indian families and Latino families. They make, they make sure that they are celebrating things like marriages, like making sure that the people are bonding, and like they're strengthening these unions of marriage, because they know marriage is hinging on everything, like the family is everything. And then now you see the opposite problem. We don't care too much about families, and now we have high levels of homelessness, because essentially right now, unless people live in strong families, they cannot foot the bills, like normal family of man and wife. It's hard to just foot the bills of all the expenses. Like families need to live together like they used to live in tribes before. It's true, right? It's true, but also I don't think like a lot of people even trust the values of Christianity anymore because of all the fake pastors, the fake people. Um, yeah, who are just trying to take away from the family, and they enrich themselves. Like, I don't even see churches giving to the poor that they're supposed to give to. They're not doing that. The churches have left that to the government. and and also we have laws that now, like, churches cannot help with the homeless crisis anymore because the government has put limitations on them. So you see, like in places like India, they put a premium on that, like marriages. Right? Like, we our society is broken down in so many levels. Like, church right now, church is a business. Sadak says, yes, marriage in India is not a bond between only husband and wife, but the bond between families, like two families that have joined. That's why you see, like, people getting married. There are like 2,500, 3,000 people. Imagine somebody coming to your wedding and they know you. These are like 5,000 to 3,000 people who can be your business partners. Just because you got married, they can support your family in business, in so many other areas, you know? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, in India, the women pay dowry, right? So in America, the women pay for the wedding. The women's family, they pay for the wedding. Why? Yeah. I thought the woman was the prize. Where I come from, the man pays the dowry to the family of the girl, and he pays for the wedding. and he pays for everything because he's getting the woman. Where I come from, men pay for the woman. They pay the dowry, they pay everything. That all you're getting is the wife and the kids that you're going to get from her, and you're getting a good woman. So a good woman comes from the Lord. You pay a premium for her. You're lucky you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet. And so in Kenya, there was this story I was watching. The family refused to take the dowry, and they refused to marry their daughter because the guy, he, first of all, for the ceremony, he came late. He came very late. And the family just was like, you can't come late to an important appointment like this to marry our daughter, and you come late. And then when he came late, he still wanted to negotiate the dowry, and he came late. And then they were like, no, take everything you and your family have come and go away, and we are not, our daughter cannot get married to you. And then after that, she started saying that he had also gone to her bank account and taken money from her. Like all these stories came. And you know why I like our tradition? I like that because she's a very young. Most women, when they're getting married, they are very young. And our tradition is that we put a premium on her because she's young and she's beautiful. And she can give you many sons and daughters. And she doesn't know how to pick a good partner. So the parents are there looking for any signs, and they will tell you they don't want you. So the parents make sure that you're well off financially, that you're polite, you're kind, you show up on time. And if you don't, they're like, no, go away. We can do better. So in India, the women pay the dowry if they come from a poor family. They pay the husband's family. Well, that would not sit well in my culture. There is no, actually, like, yeah, it would not sit well in our culture. Like if an Indian man wanted to marry a Kenyan girl and he was expecting dowry, he would be talking like that would not be acceptable. So yeah, and if there is a divorce, if they are divorced, I think the family has to return some of that money, like some of the wealth that was given, especially if that there are no kids in that union, like there are no children. But what I have seen personally, whether it's India or Mexican families or where I come from, is whenever the families get involved, like two families get involved, like with the marriage, this is my daughter, you're marrying, whenever there's like a strong collaboration, those marriages tend to last longer than those marriages where like people just go and do it on their own without involving the family. Those marriages don't last long. But the ones that the families come, they talk, they negotiate, they talk about the wedding, how it's going to look like. When there's some sort of negotiation about the marriage and the relationship, people respect the boundaries of those relationships more. Yeah, in America, yeah, there are, yeah, in America there is that, like the rich people, yeah, the rich people have their, whether it's a son or a girl, if like your child is coming from a rich family, yeah, they will do, they'll have them sign prenups so that if anybody wants to leave the relationship, they're not there for the money. You can, my Instagram is the same as this one, post traumatic bliss. Yeah, I think it's nice to protect yourself financially from people who just want to come and just like just take your money. I just think that's, you gotta do what you gotta do. In this economy, you can go back to zero quickly, quickly, you know. But it's also good not to not to make the other person feel like, oh, they're just in here for the money. How can you go to a wedding you're not invited? Isn't that like how you gonna show up to places you've not been invited? Don't you feel like you're tacky? You're just gonna show up. I've had people do that, that they crash weddings and they go and they eat and they do everything. They weren't invited, they don't even know anybody. Oh my goodness, Satak is funny. He's like, Frank, I can invite you, but you don't show up if I don't. He will not know where the wedding is. You're lucky. It'll be on another state. He will have no clue. Oh, I mean, I think I would also crash if I'm in a resort and there's a wedding and there's free food and I know it's probably like the real good Indian food. I'd probably crash. They don't know and they're not checking invitations. Well, and they have like invited like 500 people, so they really don't know who was invited. And somebody was probably invited, but they didn't make it that day. So it's not like such a big deal. I don't think I've seen that movie. I don't watch a lot of movies. The thing, like I'm not a huge with movies. He's talking about the movie The Wedding Crasher. Picky Binders. Picky Binders. What are those? No, I'm looking at it. I see people on a date. This one looks like a good one. So there's this one movie small on Netflix, on YouTube, and he says that he's going to upload all the Peaky Blinders seasons with subtitles. So if you want to watch it for free, I'll look at it. Hmm. It's interesting. Oh, we talked a lot about so many things, politics, weddings, crashing. Yeah. So what are you looking forward to? Like in the next like 4 months or 2 weeks? What's the one thing that you're like, oh my goodness, I'm looking forward to this. Let me stand up and at least make some tea or something. Oops. I'm thinking of traveling a little bit. Things are getting hot here in the US. So I'm thinking about traveling for a bit. Super Bowl Sunday, looking forward. South up, we can do, yeah. If you want to do do a live stream, um, go to Post Traumatic Bliss on Instagram and add me, and then we can arrange something. But when we are doing live, be professional. You know how I dress nicely, very demure. Very demure, because sometimes you never know who's coming online. It could be a child or something, and we don't want YouTube to flag my show, my channel. Cool. I need to clean some dishes from yesterday. These are dirty. I was cooking yesterday. The Super Bowl. Do you know who's performing? Who's going to perform on the Super Bowl? Do you know who's performing? Sliced jalapenos with cream cheese wrapped in bacon. Wow, that sounds delicious. You're gonna have fun with that. Jalapeno. Spice up your life. Go Kansas. Go Kansas. Yeah, the Super Bowl's gonna be huge. I know a lot of people are just waiting. Coming. I bought some licorice tea, licorice root, but I'm not going to take it right now. The additive called shallot, shallot, shallot. Yeah, this one is a green tea. It's more like a root, herbal. It's caffeine free. Yeah, sometimes I do mushrooms, like mushroom tea. I have yeah. Somebody told me this turkey tail mushroom is actually very good for fighting cancer cells. Yeah, it doesn't taste like the best, but it can fight cancer cells. I was reading this book, Mycelium Running, by this great mycologist. His name is Paul Stamets, and he said his mom had like stage 4 breast cancer, and he started having her take this, and she went into remission for a long time, and I don't think it ever came back. So I was like, what? Turkey tail? It's like an expensive black tar. Oh, yeah, Sarthakya then from Nepal. Nepal, yeah. Oh, how much is it, Sarthak? How much do you buy it from? How much do you buy it from Nepal? You call it Shilajit? How much do you like for a small bottle? How much do you buy it? Because if it's expensive here in the US, I might import it and sell it on my YouTube channel. Sathak and I can do business. We can start our own import. Shilajit. Oh, the Himalayas also. Oh, they're big. They come from Nepal, India, all that. Oh, okay. You don't buy, it's free in your mountain. So let's import it and make 100% profit. Frank, what's that's it's rare. It should be charged a premium for it. Shajilt. Shajilt. Well, I'll look it up. Wow, it has over 85 plus minerals in it. Wow. Let me look this up. Yeah, it's called like Shilajit. Shilajit. So, like Sarthak, look at this. Look at this Sarthak. You get it for free. People here are getting it for $35, $99. Like, they have gummies of it, and some gummies are like $99. This one, the racing here is $19. Yeah, look at this one here is 700. Can you see very well? Like this one here, right here is $730. This one right here. Also, the gummies are not that good. Let me see the benefits. Bone health, energy, inflammation, immunity, memory, heart health, muscle repair, altitude sickness, fertility, anemia. May treat iron deficiency anemia. I'm not going to get it because I'm anemic. Sometimes I'm anemic. Oh, this thing might be good for me. Well, I believe like if it has iron, it can help treat iron deficiency anemia. If it has iron, it really can help with cognitive disorders because a lot of people like they don't understand when they have a lot of fatigue because they don't have enough iron. And if you don't have enough iron, forget memory. Memory becomes very flimsy. Huh. How does it taste? You drink, how does it taste? Does it, like, what's the taste? Do you have to take, like, with honey or something? Is it like, it tastes like smoky tar. Tastes like crap. This is why. But do you feel differently when you take it in your body that same day or no? Does it taste like differently when you take it? Like, I mean, do you feel differently? Like, if you take it for some time, do you feel like your body differently? Like, oh, I feel more alive or refreshed or something like that? Oh, wow. Okay. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get on this. Shilajit. It has 85 plus trace minerals. I didn't know that. Oh, wow. See, I'm gonna try that because you know me, I'm all into mental health and I like to try anything you tell me it's about mental health. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying. Minerals. It has iron, copper, zinc, magnesium, selenium, um, vitamins A, B, C, phospholipids, polyphenols, complexes, terpenoids. So it can benefit the brain, the heart, and your immunity. Wow. Uh, we take it with boiled milk. Yes, it gives a lot of energy. And there is one plant called caterpillar fungus, which is used to cure cancer and also works improving intimacy power, like brings your testosterone up. Caterpillar, you said caterpillar fungus. I'm looking at it. Is this the one? The caterpillar fungus? Hi, Aswar. These ones. Sarthak is telling us these caterpillar fungus are also used to fight cancer. This can help you fight cancer. Today I'm looking good. I'm always looking good. Stop. You're looking good too, love. Yeah, so we're talking about this caterpillar fungus. They can help fight cancer. You know why I believe Sarthak is telling the truth? I read this book that says cancer is a fungus. Like most people don't know, but it's actually a fungus. Obviously, we know that it's cells that kind of like grow out of work. But this book I was reading, it was saying it was written by a doctor who really didn't know how to speak outside of the doctor language. So, I mean, I don't think it's a book that everybody kind of read, but they were talking about cancer being a fungus. Like, and if you think people say like cancer is caused by sugar, sugar can lead to cancer, like cancer, because sugar is also very good food for fungus. Dr. Otto? No, let me look him up. Okay, this is this like a comedy? It's like a comedy, huh? So this Yasa gumba, that's the name of this caterpillar fungus. Yasa gumba. Oh, oh, alkaline water. Alkaline water is good. I used to drink regular water and I used to have a lot of heartburn, just heartburn. And then I started taking alkaline water and that heartburn went away. And I'm thankful that I became selective with my water. It's really good to take alkaline water. It, there's so many. Professor Otto is, there's so many of them. Heinrich Warburg. No disease, including cancer, can exist in an alkaline environment. That's what he said. I never thought. Oh, wow. This is doctor. He says, oh, wow. He said cancer cannot exist in an alkaline environment. All forms of cancer have two basic conditions. And he says acidosis and hypoxia, a lack of oxygen. Cancerous tissues are acidic, whereas healthy tissues are alkaline. Depriving a cell its 35% oxygen for 48 hours and it may become cancerous. That's why we should do breathing techniques. Breathing. Those breathing techniques like the yogic, like the ones that they teach in India, like yoga breathing, making sure that you're breathing, that will help. And that explains why people who smoke die of cancer. Because like smoke creates tar around the cell, now they cannot absorb oxygen and then they kind of start getting sick. Oh. So foods must be, oh, wow. So, wow, that's profound. He says, for a cancer, all forms of cancer have two basic conditions, acidosis and hypoxia. So acidic, like something being acidic and if it lacks oxygen. So like those are two things. Yeah, thanks. These are good. So deprive a cell only 35% of its oxygen. If a cell doesn't have 35% of its oxygen, guess what? For 24 hours and it may be only for 48 hours and it can become carcinogenic. Cancerous tissues are acidic, healthy cells tissues are alkaline. He says water splits into hydrogen and oxygen and hydrogen ions, you know, H and OH ions. So if there is an excess of H plus, it is acidic. And if there is an excess if there is an excess of OH ions, then it's alkaline. In his works of metabolism of tumors, he demonstrated that all forms of cancer are characterized by two basic conditions: acidosis and hypoxia. So we have one. So lack of oxygen and acidosis are the two sides of the same coin. And so he says if it's acidic, it's also lacks oxygen. It's really the same thing. So where you have one, you have another. Like these are like it's the same condition. You get? Because water has like two sides, H and OH. So if it has a lot of H, it has acidic. It's acidic. And so then it lacks oxygen. So it's the same thing. Yeah, I know Kapalbhati in yoga. Like the one, so this is Kapalbhati when he says like the breathing of yoga. Okay, I'll lift my stomach. I'm not trying to be sexy or anything. It's just to show you Kapalbhati. So in Kapalbhati, your breathing is like, you know, it's moving like that, right? And then there's the Nadi Suti. Nadi Suti, you take your two fingers, these ones, and you close this one, and then you breathe out, and then breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Kind of Nadi Suti is to calm the nervous system, but the Kapalbhati, you're using the abdomen to bring in oxygen in your body, and that is helpful to clear your mind, to lower stress and oxygenate your cells. That's good that you do every day. Wow, he's 100. I know, cancer didn't kill him. I know, it's we can age backwards if we know what we are doing. Like, and the good thing is that we have all these teachers that can teach us, you know, a lot of things. I'm going to put up a new class, especially for people who want to overcome a negative mindset or trauma or anything. It's about to go down. I'm about to release that class. So, you know, if you have people who can benefit from overcoming trauma or learning how the brain works, the neuroscience of how the brain works, so that they can, you know, they can live to their potential. Have that in mind, that I'll be putting it out soon. Yeah, it's like all these things that we need to learn about our bodies, you know. Yeah. Wow, Frank, thanks for that. You know, Frank brought in, Frank, you're a health aficionado. You should write a book on health. You seem like, I'm going to buy that Shilajit thing, and I'm going to tell you how it's going. So yeah, is there one like you buy, do you buy it on Amazon or where do you buy? Halima, okay, you're young. Normally I tell, like, if you come here and you're young, don't put your age. Not that like the people here are bad, but I just don't want you to fall prey to online predators. Just, yeah, hide your age. Don't tell us. Tell your age. Like, I tell my age because I'm over 18, over 21. But for you, hide your age. You can lie to us. You don't have to tell us the truth. Yeah. Also, Frank, like, yeah, you can also like go to my Instagram also. I think maybe in the future we'll be sharing a lot. Like my Instagram, let's be friends and let's connect, share photos, stuff. Yeah. Let me grab my diary, something to write down all this information that we have. So if you're joining us, there are things that you can do to fight cancer, to fight cancer cells. And let me grab this. So this turkey tail mushroom is also good. This like turkey tail is a good mushroom to fight cancer. The turkey tail mushroom. If you do breathing work, like breath work, breathing exercises, we've talked about breathing exercises like Kapalbhati can be good to fight cancer cells. We've talked about the caterpillar. We've talked about the caterpillar fungus is also good to fight cancer cells. We've talked about taking alkaline water because, you know, cancer thrives in acidosis uh, and also hypoxia, the lack of oxygen. Yeah, and we're also talking about the you call it the Beta Alt. That's the brand, Beta Alt Himalayan Shilajit. This has the Himalayan Shilajit has over 75% folic acid and then 85 plus trace minerals. And we are talking like the real minerals like zinc that you need, magnesium, all this. I mean, like these are like 5 things we've gotten just from being on this chart alone, you know, like fighting cancer, this mushroom turkey tail, the breathing work, caterpillar fungus, the taking alkaline water, the Himalayan Shilajit. I mean, all this just because we are here learning, changing the world. You know? You do risey mushroom. Yeah, this is how human beings we evolve through knowledge. Knowledge is the ruler of the world. Knowledge is power. We overcome problems through knowledge, through sharing information, you know. Yeah, breath work is especially good for the nervous system. Yeah, I think, you know, I think being a mycologist, this is a good, like a great career because we don't know much about the mushrooms and the fungus kingdom, the fungi. We don't know much about the fungi kingdom, but you know, like almost like most of our medicine are coming from the fungi kingdom. And we don't know much about this kingdom. You know, we have the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and then we have the fungi kingdom. And this is where like most of our medicines are coming from, because fungi, they're like animals and they are like plants. They are a blend of both plants and animals. And I think we can benefit more from, you know, more people going to schools and learning about fungi. And we have medicine like penicillin from the fungus, and it's a fungus. And you think about this kingdom, and a lot of people can make great careers out of it. A great career out of just learning what they are, what they do, which ones are the good mushrooms, which ones are the dangerous ones, what they can do, you know. Quadriceps for energy, reishi for stress relief, you know, lion's mane for focus, shiitake for immune support, you know, turkey tail, healthy digestion, and king trumpet fights oxygen stress, you know. Like if you had like that one, a king trumpet, if it's helping you with oxygen, that's, you know, that's a good one. Actually, let me take a photo of that. Like this is a good one to take a photo of. Oops. Yeah. All this wonderful stuff that we can learn when we share information with one another. You see, yeah, and if you think about how coffee is the most, I think coffee is the most traded item on the planet, because people are looking for more energy, especially now that they're getting squeezed. Yeah, maybe someday, you know, that will be fine. Yeah. Like, yeah, people are just looking for more energy because they have a lot to do, and that's why coffee is the most traded item on the planet. I just think it's a rat race, you know, getting more coffee, getting more fatigued, especially when you think about stuff like coffee. It can prevent the absorption of iron, and when you don't have iron, it means your mitochondria cells, they are they don't have the engine to keep working. And so I think when you take coffee, it's kind of like you get in that loop. Let me search for that. Is Mussoorie a place in India? This is a place in India called Mussoorie, Missouri or Missouri, something. It looks very beautiful. Is it on the Himalayas? Wow, you live here. I should come visit you. I should come here. Now, this is a place to visit. This is a place to visit, Sardar. You live in a beautiful place, damn. It's hilly, it's mountainous. Wow. Like there's some resorts there that are like beautiful. Now, this is the place to go in India, straight up. Look at that place. Look at the blue sky, the houses, the just beautiful. I'm sure there's like fresh air. You live in paradise. You live in paradise. That's paradise right there. Wow. See, just having friends from India just makes me feel like I'm living my life. Like you're making me travel vicariously into another land I have never seen. It's so magical. Oh wow. You live near the Himalayas though, so it must be like one of the most beautiful places on earth. Look at that waterfall. It's called Wonder Wisdom. This place is called Wonder Wisdom. Okay, you know it's a beautiful place when it's nicknamed Wonder Wisdom. That's when you know. People are very telling with the names that they use to describe a place. People will rarely lie when it comes to how they describe a place. So if it's not beautiful, it can't have a good nickname. Like, you know, it has a good nickname that people call it Wonder, like Wonder World or something. Like, you know, you need to go there. Okay, so if I'm going to India, that's the place I'm going. I'm not going to Delhi. I'm going to Missouri. And then let me write it down because I have my friend Shai likes to tell me to visit. I'm like, if I'm going to India, girl, I know where exactly I'll go. Missouri. It's funny because the way it spells it sounds like Missouri, or Missouri, and it means good in Kiswahili. It means like a very nice thing. It's fitting for the name. The waterfall is called Fata, Bata, something, Bata. Does that mean anything? Those waterfalls are very unique though. It's the way the rock looks like. The rock looks like a tree. It's like the water is coming from a tree. And then, see, it's kind of like a cenote because people are out there like there are people there like bathing in the water. Oh, it's so cool that you can go on this, like just kind of see the whole. Places are beautiful. Well, let's end this live session. We'll go to India when it's all said and done. That was very interesting. I've learned so much. Like, I've really learned so much from today's live stream. Well, I know it's probably, what time is it there, Sarthak? It's probably very late. It's also kind of late here. It's in the afternoon. It's lunchtime. Yeah, it has been really nice. Well, Frank, I hope you enjoy your jalapenos. What do you say you're taking? You're going to make some jalapenos with something that just seems like with some bacon jalapeno. You're taking something really cool. Well, Satak, nice seeing you today. Good night. And yeah, let's connect another time when you see me online. Holla, holla at your girl. Oh, scallions, bacon, air fry. Oh my goodness, cream cheese. Man, I wish I could crash that lunch. Edward Smith, J. Smith. It's called the Queen of the Hills. Wow, the Queen of the Hills. Oh, well, honey, go get some rest. Nice seeing you. If you're new here, just click the subscribe button. You just came in a little bit late for our sessions. So, well, let's connect tomorrow. So, Talk, have a good night. Uh, yeah, all right. Frank, see you. Have a good one. Bye.